Good morning. It's Friday. I know I'm excited. I like Fridays. Maybe you ain't excited. And it's December. I mean, yesterday was December, but it's the first Friday of this is December, which means if you know about Bandcamp, every first Friday they have like a thing where they give all the money to the artists. So this morning I bought one of my friends. I never met them, but they could still be friends. One of my friends released their first project ever, which is really cool because they're a band, but they live in 3 different countries: America, Australia, and England, I believe. And, they got the time zone things because they do the Friday challenges. So they just make it work. Time does not stop them from Man, I remember someone saying, yeah, man, I just couldn't find the time to meet up with you. And I would always say, well, right now I'm in the same time zone. I'm on the same side of the country. Da, 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 da. Like, yeah, man, maybe next month. And now I live in America. Now it's twice as hard. Still not impossible, but before it was just, okay, meet me after work. Now and so far it hasn't been working. The people who reached out to me to do some collaborations, it's just, so yeah, it's really cool. So I'm looking forward to listening to that on my commute. But yeah. Today's exciting. So today I'm gonna do the Zoom freestyle for a German tech company. I can't explain it what it is, but they're having like a Zoom thing. The breakout rooms, and then they're gonna come back from the breakout room, and then the host is gonna be like, I'm gonna pop in, and the host is gonna be like, hey, what you doing? I'm like, not much. And then he's gonna say, do you have any dreams and hopes? And then I'm a freestyle. I got some dreams and hopes. And I'm gonna get paid to do that. And what's cool, this is kind of a test. So he's just adding it on to, this is what the guy does. This is his thing. So he's just gonna pay me out of pocket to see how it goes. And then there's another one on the 16th, and these will be regular if, it works. But it's exciting. The only thing is I got to play hooky from school. So I have to it's still on me, but he didn't tell me yesterday. He told me while I was in school, and we had some issue with the teacher wasn't out, substitute, and blah, blah, blah. And I got home and all excuses, but so I'm just going to email him after I finish eating and just say I had an emergency. I'll be in after 12 or 11. Yeah, go from there. But I'm excited. So I got all my equipment downstairs, my light. Really, so we did a sound test yesterday. So I was gonna run it in through my SP as an audio interface, but it wasn't working. And he was like, "Why don't we try this?" Like I had it running through Ableton, going out of the SP into Zoom. Sounds really complicated, but it's not. And he's like, "Why don't you just share it?" I was like, he's like, "Matthew, why don't we?" It wasn't like that kind of tension, but he's just like, I just want to try to see if it works. So he's like, all right, hit the share button. Like, where's the share button? All right, then go to advanced. I don't use Zoom like that. He does Zoom on that's his platform of choice. I should have deferred to what he thought was best because he's done it before. That's me being me. And I got to stop that. So anyway, I did it the way he suggested, and it worked the way he it would. But he didn't say, told you so. Like, I'm not used to these kind of interactions. Usually people, if they tell you to do something and you don't for whatever reason, and then you end up doing it the way they told you, they have to let you know. You remember when he's just like, whatever. And then we did our practice thing. And yeah, so I'm excited. The only thing is, I'll tell my dad, I don't know how to explain it, because it would look like I'm just making music. It's only 15 minutes, but it doesn't look like I'm working, which is, isn't that what they say? When you are doing what you love, it doesn't feel like you're working. I had a dream last night about, I was at some educational thing and I sat down and I'm like, I gave her the resume and she said, I don't think you would be appropriate for, or whatever. It says you sound like Jay-Z, Mos Def, Wyclef. That's what I always put, who I sound like. I don't sound like him, but I sound like him. I'm like, no. I can use, yes, but she was just like, no, like had that kind of face. So I'm chasing her down, and then I'm like, Let It Go theme, Disney movies playing in the background. So I was gonna remix the words, and I was looking for a pen, but the pen didn't, I needed like the pen didn't have ink, so I couldn't write it down, and she's just like, you gotta go. I'm gonna look. And I went outside, and I'm back in, it was like Shibuya. Oh, my car, this is my dream. My car was underwater. Somehow I was chasing a squirrel and then it just fell. And then I called the company and they were able to get it out and it worked. Yeah, that's my dreams. Full color, happy, probably has music playing in the background. I don't know. But yeah. I saw a post about therapists. It said, black men going to therapists. I didn't watch it. Maybe he was saying they should. Maybe it seemed like he was saying they shouldn't. Like, how dare they say black men go to therapists? But honestly, therapist is like therapy, therapist is like going on a date. Not everyone's going to be a perfect match for you. And if they're not, you got to let them go. Find another date. So I talked to 4 therapists. 2 are on the phone. One was via Zoom, and one's in person. 2 are in person. And yeah, not all of them fit the way I am, and I don't fit what they're used to. But you just keep doing it until you find the one that works, and then go from there. And if they stop, because it's for you, unless it's mandated that you must, then you might not have so much options. But I could say, well, I don't know. It's like basically what I do at my therapy session is I tell my stories. And it's like our sessions be 1 hour, and we might start getting into the 1:15. Even after she says, all right, she closed up her book. She's like, okay, we got to wrap it up. And I'm just like, oh, and by the way, some guy, he hired me to do some freestyle. Like, oh, tell me more about that. And by the, so, I'm just talking like I always talk. And she might throw in how do you feel? Which is hard. I start telling what I did or whatever. And she's like, but you didn't answer the question. How do you feel? Like, I don't feel anything. I don't know. I feel yellow, turquoise. I think maybe she's understanding who I am. Because she's like, so Thanksgiving came. She has that kind of voice. Soothing and soft. And could be patronizing, but she's not. She's just, so how was Thanksgiving? And I'm like, it was good. Watched some movies, ate pizza, played dominoes with my dad. Won. Like, did you miss your mom? How was it for your first Thanksgiving without your mom? Like, well, one, I was in Japan for 15 years. I rarely came home this early. I don't think I ever came home in November for Thanksgiving. I usually come home in December. And I was in Japan, and, the whole time I was there, I didn't long to be home eating turkey with the family. Some years I was hanging out with Dave and his family, and other years I was hanging out with Dave. I have 2 friends named Dave, but one Dave was, well, Dave if you follow my channel. The other Dave, he worked in the Navy, and he would bring us on base for Thanksgiving. And then the other years I was just chilling at my house. I worked, came home and ate. I'm like, I have never, Christmas, One time I was in Ikebukuro on my little bed, just sitting there. I was watching It's a Wonderful Life. And as I'm on the bed, I'm like, "Ooh." Tears are coming out of my face. And I'm just, "Ooh, I gotta get home. Ooh." It must have been like 2000 and... It might have been like my first year, second year-ish, third year. Yeah, it would have been every other year I went home. So I got there. I gotta get home. I gotta get home. Oh. Then I was missing. But afterwards, I'd find things to do. Christmas, I'd go to the clubs. But yeah. So yeah, man, I recommend if you can go to therapy, like if it's affordable. Therapy is expensive. So if your job offers it or discounts it, maybe your church has therapy or maybe a community, whatever. But try it out. Have some non-person. But anyway, also this morning, someone emailed me because I was in this, I think I was telling you about it. I was in this beat making blind date. They paired two random beat makers together and they have to flip the sample. I was paired with one person and then they just like quit. Like, I don't want to work with him. So I was left all alone. And then the guy's like, well, just do what you can by yourself. Now, I don't think he knew who I was. I do most of my stuff by myself. Like, that's the hard part would have been working with the guy. That's why I joined the thing. Like, yeah, it'd be cool to work with someone different. Because my collaborative. So part of me is like, if I'll just do it myself. Other people, like, they can't do it without the help of other people. So they have developed a way to work with people, whatever. But in this case, I emailed him first. I was very polite in it. And he just, whatever. So the guy's like, do what you can do. And then I forgot about the whole thing. And then I was like, oh shit, let me just do this. So I saw the date. I had 2 days before. So I just did it, posted it. And then all the people are just like, oh man, that's so cool, man. Your dude left you, but you still went forward with it. And then he just reposted it again, just saying, yeah, I like how he talked about the experience in the rap. But again, that's what I do. I talk about the experience of my life. So my first line is, went on a blind date, left me on the side, wait. I'm a usher in my flow, doing it my way. Now, for you who are not old enough, Usher made a song called My Way. I think it was the first song. My way, oh, if I say no, she stayed with JD. But not JD, but JD. Was there two JDs? There is two JDs. I don't know what. Oh, Jay Diller. Jay Dilla. I always call him Diller, but JD as in him. But he came after JD, Jermaine Dupri. And if you don't know Jim, some people know, some people don't. But yeah, it just makes me look even better because I followed through on what I said I was going to do, despite all odds. And people might use that as a reason. Again, but everyone's different. But I'm currently listening to Quincy Jones. Now I know who he is. He's the guy who worked with Michael Jackson. But I know nothing about him outside of he's the guy that worked with Michael Jackson. Never really cared about him. I mean, I don't wish him harm or anything, but I just never took the time to know who he is. And it's only by happenstance that he came into my view, because on Audible, I'm looking at most Audibles about jazz people, like 13 to 18 hours. It's cool, you get all that, but I was looking for something short, and his came up. It was only 5 hours. And then, yeah. So I listened to it going to work. And I didn't know what I was going to get. If you heard me the first time, like, again, I don't know anything about Quincy Jones, but he's 88 at the time of the making of it. So he might be 89 or 90 now. Because he said in 2020 a lot. So it might have came out then. But his voice is like old people voices. It's like, huh? But the guy who's doing it, he's doing it, so. And it just blows my mind. Like, I didn't know. No, I didn't research it. Again, he wasn't on my radar. But before Michael Jackson, before all that, he worked with Frank Sinatra. Like, Frank Sinatra called him, like, hey, Q, can you work on that, can you work on this project with me? Like, what? And I think he might have been 18 or something. And then before that, and then he tells the stories the kind of way I tell the stories. Like, but before that happened, and he goes back. In his high school, he worked for his band. Did the backing for Day. What is her name? They kept calling her Lady Day. It'll come when it comes. I want to say it though. What is her name? But Lady Day, if you know her, you know who it is. But she was talking about how she was influenced by Louis Armstrong. Her name kept coming up. And she also was in Duke Ellington's. Because but he was saying he was doing the backing for her, and as they're on stage, they're high school kids, and she's doing her thing. They're just watching her. And the band, her arranger, well, he said, like, as he's doing his thing, I don't know if he's doing the drums, but he's just like, if y'all want to watch her not play, go get a fucking ticket. If you're gonna play. And they just snapped out of it, and then they got to work. So then after that, he's like, thanks. And then the next time he called him for Billie Eckstine. I don't know this guy, but he also appeared a lot in these stories. The same era, same time, they all talk about each other. So the band came through, and they called him because he had such a good work ethic. And then he met Count Basie. Or Count Basie became his, like, surrogate uncle, mentor thing. And then Billy Eckstine, blah, blah, blah. And then that's how he met Frank Sinatra. I wonder if Biggie Smalls was referring to Frank Sinatra, Frank White. I think he's referring to the drug dealer, Frank White. But I don't know. But, and then Frank Wright was friends with Count Basie, and he gave this one anecdote that one time he did a gig. His name was on the marquee, like his name was in lights, N-I-N-E. And the show did half as good. It was half filled. He got paid the full amount, but only half the people came. And then Count Basie told Quincy Jones, you got to give him half the money back. You know, your name didn't draw the crowd, so give half the money back. And he's just like, but it's my money. He's like, give half the money back. And this is back, at least their relationship was, I'm going to listen to this guy because he knows better than me. I don't know if that would work now. You try to tell somebody give half the money back, they would fight you. Don't tell me what to do. But then he was saying when Frank Sinatra, he called him because he heard the song he did with Count Basie. And he was saying if he would have, like, told Count Basie where to shove it, then that song wouldn't have happened, and Frank Sinatra wouldn't have called him. So it's like that. You never know. You never know. But so he's just like telling all these stories, and this is before Michael Jackson. Like, he had a life. There was a post someone posted like maybe last year, like it said something like, even after even after you're old and finished, you can still have a Michael Jackson amazing moment. Or so he produced him, who's like the greatest star of everything, but they made it seem like everything he did before was nothing. But like, he was his own person before that happened, which is, and there was some flack saying, "Who are you to say that?" And then whoever made it was backtrack. I didn't mean it that way. I was just saying, even in your old age. And then he talked about meeting Michael Jackson. Well, actually, I mean, it's his book, but he always talked about how these people had a tireless work ethic. Like, they didn't come in there like, they just came in and did their thing. I'm like that, but I always get the opposite. Man, you work too hard, and man, you just, which makes me feel odd. I'm wrong because I showed up on time or a little bit early. I'm wrong because I got my song and lyrics all written out, ready to go. I'm wrong because I'm thinking about the marketing of, but I'm always, I mean, I don't think it's anyone's intention, but, you know, every time I read these books, usually these are the greats, and that's usually what they're talking about. And I've been reading these books since high school. But the amount of time I spent trying to explain, you know, we gotta, anyway. So he talked about how he, the name escapes me as I try to think about it now, but Gillespie, Dizzy Gillespie. Gillespie. He had a chance to work with Gillespie, and at the same time, Johnny Mathis. So he's like, the label, they wanted me to work with this upcoming guy. His name was, well, he didn't give the name. He said, this guy, he was good at tennis or something. But then Dizzy called me up, like, can you do this for me? So he's like, I got to do it for the culture. He said that. But, you know, he's writing it now, talking about that. Some things like saying, cat, what's going on? Cat. Or Frank Sinatra would say, cool, cool. Cool, cool. Or his fact that his name was Q way before Boys in the Hood or Don't Be a Menace. I don't know who had the name Q, but some things we're taking directly from jazz, and other things he's kind of going forward. Anyway, and he's like, yeah, that 17-year-old kid turned out to be Johnny Mathis, who I discovered because one summer I was just taking all the CDs and burning them to my sample library. So I got these great hits anthologies. I had a jazz one, but I never listened to it. Like, I have all these names that I'm talking about now, but I just never listened to them. I didn't know who they were. Plus, I don't like the recordings. Like, jazz things sound old. I mean, you gotta listen differently, but anyway. I heard the song, Look at Me. I'm as helpless as a kitten in a tree. I am chasing it. It just, I think a tear came from my eye. It was so beautiful. So like, and I actually said, Dad, listen, Mom, because we were driving, like, listen to this song. Do you know this? And they're like, we don't know that song. Which I guess is true. They weren't like, we weren't audio people in the house. And I sampled it, and I made it into a song about my ex-girlfriend from Estonia. The first line is, I don't really want to have to write a song like this. Can't feel happy when I feel so pissed. Actually, it wasn't about the girl from Estonia. It was the Japanese girl. The first Japanese girl I dated long distance. I met her when I was there, then I came back, and then I was trying to get back to Japan, and we're dating, and then one day she just kind of gave up, and that was that. So the whole song is kind of like, I don't really want to have to write a song like this. Can't feel happy when I feel so pissed. Why does everything I see remind me of Miss? I smell her perfume when I'm taking a shit. I daydream about her at night. I can't sleep. They say I got issues, but the subscription's free. But you could read all about it. Extra, extra. Get the man CD. Won't say we in love, but the sex was good. Maybe we was, but the sex was good. Now I'm feeling kind of stressed in my neck of the woods. If a tree falls on me, would anybody hear? Probably won't, 'cause nobody put me there. Out on a limb, but out on a limb, but nobody put me there. I guess my life's not fair. It's hard to write with a face full of tears. I wrote that like 10, 13 years ago? No, I wrote it before I left Japan. I don't know what. It would have to be in America I wrote that. So this would be like 15 years ago. But it's in my head. And I would perform it. It's one of my go-tos when I perform. But in the second line, I talk about Ben Affleck and J-Lo breaking up. But they got back together, so now the song's dated. I mean, it was getting more dated, but that reference was really... But yeah, so... Yeah. So, again, and then it finally gets to the point, I think it was like just a little blurb. He's like, yeah, I was working on the Wizard of Oz play or whatever. And then he met Michael. I mean, he knew of him because he was Jackson 5 fame. I think it's 17-year-old Michael. And he's like, yeah, his work ethic. You know, he memorized the lines. He memorized the lines of other people's lines. He had the dance steps down. Like there was... I mean, again, it's a book. They probably make things... Like when people talk about me, they'd be like, yeah, Matt, he's a good guy. He did a Guinness record for 4 years. 4 years straight. He just rapped 4 years. No, it was... But it keeps growing as time goes. But hey. And then he said what sealed the deal was he was reading some... Like, I didn't see the play, but he would pull some straw or paper out and have a little quote on it. And the quote was from Socrates, but Michael Jackson kept saying Socrates or some shit. And after 3 times, Quincy said, hey, come over here. And he's like, Michael, the word is Socrates. And then Michael said, oh, I didn't know that. And at that point, he's like, all right, he's humble, whatever. Because again, you know, a lot of people, you try to correct them, like, no, this is how you say it. I mean, I'm that way, as I talked about with the Zoom thing. Like, no, I'm going to do this. And, you know, people don't really want to work with someone like that. You got to work on that. But this book, I think I have an hour left, 5-hour book. But it just gives like little lessons, like you're never too old. Like he has a whole chapter about don't let people tell you what to do. Now it's kind of, but then also be humble enough to let people tell you what to do. Like it's, you know, it's that line, but integrity. Learning the ins and outs of your craft, all of it. So musicians, sometimes they don't care so much about money, they care about the money, but, you know, keeping the books, whatever. But how many times have you heard artists saying the label screwed them over? They won't give me my money. Because, you know, Kanye was like, what song? He said, I think it was Through the Wire, where he talks about getting a chain. First, I don't know. So he went and got a chain first. So here's your advance, cash. He cashed it. Goes to get a chain from Jacob, the jeweler. He didn't take the money and go to Larry, the lawyer. Okay, Larry, show me how I should invest this. Now, Kanye seems to be, he did hit 6 billion, which is pretty high. And now he's doing whatever. But in general, artists tend to not worry so much about it until tax time comes up and they hit with the $1 million, you owe us taxes and all that. IRS is on your door. But you got to know all of that. Also, I was going to talk about it yesterday, but I forgot. But the 6 the six I don't know what you call it. We'll call it the six facets of well-being. I don't even know if I can say them off the top. Finance, it's a circle, so it's no beginner end, but finance, your health, your mental state, spiritual, and this could be, religion or affirmation, the spiritual well-being. I want to say friends, and I don't know the sixth one. Maybe passion. I'll put those in the thing. But to be a whole person, all of those should be equally paid attention to. So if you only focus on money, you could be rich, but if you get that Scrooge effect going on, like you don't have that. Or if you're so busy on music or your art, then everything else. Like, remember when Rick Ross and there's a couple of them, they got really big and had scares that were directly related to their health. Well, dead Rick Ross doesn't help. Well, he might. You know how those albums go. You make more money after you die. But him being alive is good for his people. The labels, they could always figure out how to milk dead people, but health, spiritualness, again, it's not directly related to like Christian, Catholic, or whatever, but you need a higher power, because at some point, from what they say, and I believe it, but after you get all the fame and the riches and all that, then what? You have 1 million, you have 2 million, 8 billion, then what? So you need something else. But he had a quote. He had a lot of quotes in his book. I would really recommend this, even if you don't do music. But he said, in our life we have hills and valleys. Hills and valleys. The hills will take care of themselves. Meaning, like when you're flying, everyone wants to be your friend. Money's coming in. It's kind of like when you're single, you can't get a girlfriend. It's just like, but when you get a girlfriend, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, you're not single. Like, I was single like before. Where were you then? But then when you're in the valley, it's just like, and when he was mentoring Michael, I think it was, he was like just getting them prepared for the this and this. Or actually, he was being mentored by Basie, and then he would mentor. But yeah, man, this book, man. And then the chapter about Michael, it wasn't even a chapter. It was just like a little, because I think they had a falling out. But and then where I got to last night when I came back, his mentor, Count Basie, in his wheelchair, after a show, he came over and he was just like, "Come here, Q." And he was just like, "Thriller, that is some shit." And he's like, Duke Ellington and me, we could have never done that, because times. But he's like, "Wow, you." And Quincy was saying, yeah, the money, the fame, the accolades, they're great, whatever. But having his mentor say that he has impressed him, like that, I kind of have that, man. I don't. If I'm giving you a compliment, it is, it's true, it's genuine. But I could picture that moment, Like, I'm waiting. My moment would be where my dad would be like, "I just listened to your son. I listened to your song. And it was really good." Man, I would be the happiest chalupa. Says, "Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh." I don't know how that would happen, though. Kind of running out of time, too. But, yeah. But yeah, man, just and then back to Sinatra. he was during a time when, black people were treated like poop. And I've heard it in many stories where for Sinatra, he treated everyone equally. He had a black band or whatever, black members, and he treated them like the white members, which was unheard of at that time. And most of the jazz people so far I read always speak highly of him. Even like Al Capone, they're saying some of the gangsters of the day were also, they're still gangsters, and if you did whatever, they shoot you in the back alley and bury you, but they still had respect, and I think it's something that's missing. People don't respect people. People take advantage of people, which kind of makes the world the way it is. But if everyone just could you imagine social media where everyone is just kind of like I saw a post yesterday, and it was just like whatever's here, and then it's and then it goes in there, and I wanted to type, but he didn't even say that. You misinterpreted. You're so quick to get in there and start typing. Listen to what he said. But then I would be pulled, fuck you, man. And then someone would come under there trying to, you see how they go. It's just endless. So the only other thing is just not be part of it. Kind of remove yourself from those scenarios, because it's just going to drag you down, man. But yeah, so I look forward to finishing the book today on a Friday. That's nice. Then I'm going to listen to my friend's album. And then the countdown's coming. I need to get my Christmas song done. Christmas project. I haven't touched it all week. I did track down 3 songs. Like, track out 3 songs. But, yeah. And I guess my last thing about Quincy is he did vibe when he was 60 years old. 60. And he's going on about age is just a number, man. There's always more to do. So I did the Guinness record. I climbed Mount Fuji. I lived in Japan for 15 years. I did my YouTube channel. I made headphones. I had a brand. Got my MBA. And what's next? Like that. And, another thing. And this is what happens at the therapy. I was just like, oh, and this. And she's like, oh. So yesterday I was saying that somebody called my ex-girlfriend from Japan and told them to have me call the company. And yesterday I call one number, no thing. I tried to email, but the email wouldn't go through. So then I finally do get the call, and I'm like, sumimasen, eigo no hito imasu ka? He's like, I'm like, cho. And I get pushed to the music. And someone comes on. Hey. Like, eigo wakarimasen ka? Like, hey, okay. Like, my friend, Tomodachi, America, America sunde imasu. My friend is like, okay, what is your name? Mashu. And eventually he's like, what's your number? And he's like, So the apartment I used to live at, they're hunting me down. You know how much money they're hunting me down for? $30. $30. I'm thinking like it's some huge. Now that's why I don't be getting all excited, because could you imagine all day I'm like, oh my gosh, $30. So I'm like, all right, okay, $30. And I think it was because all the garbage I left on the outside, because it was such an ordeal, a hassle to get rid of it. And on that last day, I just had to put it out there and just leave. So, yeah. So like, because they thought I was in Japan. Like, no, I'm here. Like, I could send it from my bank. Like, no, you have to send it from a Japanese bank account. Like, can you have your friend do it? Like, she could do it. If I call her right now, can you do it? She's like, okay. But it's not her. It's not her. The only reason they called her is because when I moved from her house, I put her name with her blessing right here on the contact. Otherwise, they'd never find me. Maybe until I come back off the airport and they're like, Matthew, here. But I don't want to burden her with this. Now, I got other friends, so I was thinking, all right, I'll call some other people, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, but then I had this, because all my bank accounts are still more or less intact. And I have one bank account that actually is in English, where I could transfer money from my bank to that bank and then transfer the $30 to their bank. So it works. So I'm gonna do that tonight or whatever. But I miss that interaction. Like on my iPhone, it has like, what were you doing a year ago photos. And it was like this beautiful, I took a picture of these, I think they're called ginkgo tree, like this bright yellow. I think ginkgo as in money, gold. So that makes sense. And I timed it where it was in a shrine with the little things on the side and the cars would pass. So I waited till the cars were like, and then I had one person walking, so the cars passing. So there's a person in between these two trees. It was a really nice photo. I got like 110 likes. Not that that matters, but people liked it. I liked it. But I passed it every day walking to work because I walk to work. And it just kind of made me, I'm not going to Japan anytime soon. I mean, because my one friend he hit it right on the nail. For me to have left Japan and then come back to Japan would have meant that my father passed away or something. So he was saying, you know, I don't want to see you back here anytime soon. I didn't get it until it's like, oh, that's what you meant. And that's what it is. And, you know, I'm keeping busy with the things I'm doing. And, you know, but it just hit me because there's a bunch of photos of on that day, 1 year ago. What was I doing? I was thinking about stuff. But yeah. So really, you just gotta, you don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. No one does. Or next week or next month. So you just gotta love that moment. Like, this could be the last time we ever talk again. So love this moment. Be like, man, I love this moment. And I love spending time with my pops. Because in Japan, I was there for 15 years. So this is kind of the makeup time. And like yesterday, I had to go to therapy. It's at 5. I finished work at 3. But when I leave the house, I wouldn't have came back. If I went straight to therapy, I would have got back at like 7. So my dad would have been alone from him. So 46. So I went to school, then I rushed back down here, and then I was like, hey, Dad. He's like, I thought you were going. I was like, hey, I just seeing how my dad is. And then I went back up there, and I came back home after the thing. All right, but I got to set up my thing over there. I got to write my letter to my job saying I'm going to be a little late. And yeah. But thanks for watching. As always, have a beautiful weekend. And check out 12 Notes by Quincy Jones if you love hearing about me talk about his book. But the book's him, well, it's still some other guy voiceover. But anyway, peace.